Good morning. I am on my way to the office, and I wanted to talk a little bit about time and priorities. So, I listened to a podcast. It was a podcast or a book, and I have to go back and find what it is. But the podcast, or whatever I listened to, the basis for the podcast was stop blaming time. And it was real interesting, the content that was in the podcast. So the whole idea was, I think when we don't prioritize something, we generally say, well, I don't have time to do that. And the whole basis of the podcast was stop blaming time and start owning the fact that you're not prioritizing that thing. It went as far as to say, when your kids want to play with you or do something, to be upfront with them and say, I can't do that right now, I have to do this. And not to say, I don't have time, because it becomes almost a blanket excuse anytime you don't prioritize something. So, and I think a lot of us are guilty of that. I'm guilty of that. I think society as a whole is guilty of that. And what I want to talk about today is start reframing, your language or how you speak about time and your priorities. So, and what brought this up is a lot of times when people ask me for nutrition help or exercises or things of that nature, a lot of people are usually gung-ho to start, and then quickly they say, well, I didn't have time to do this. And I think what you have to do, and there are situations where things get out of your control, but I think it's super important that you are honest with yourself and don't just blame time when you can't get something done. You need to say to yourself, I'm not prioritizing my health and wellness, or I'm not prioritizing my time with my child, or I'm not prioritizing that thing that needs done, instead of just making that blanket statement saying you don't have time. And this kind of leads me into something else. I think it'd be a great exercise for a lot of people to do a time audit of a typical day and see where they are spending their time. So what I mean by that is, take the time and write down where you're spending your time. A lot of times, your phone will tell you how many, I know mine every week tells me how many hours I've spent on my phone, and then I think it'll break it down even to tell me like what apps I've spent the time on. So that right there, fitness, most of my stuff that I talk about is fitness related, but goal related, anything like that. A lot of my stuff is fitness related, and a lot of times people say, well, I don't have time to work out. But then, if they spent, I don't know, an hour a day on Facebook, or even a half hour a day on Facebook, you could cut that back to 15 minutes and use 15 minutes of that time to exercise. And I think a lot of people think that, because something's normal, or because something's normal for most people that they associate with, that's what they should be doing with their time. So I always have this TV conversation, because people are just, I went to the phone store the other day, AT&T, and they asked me about cable service, and I was like, I don't have cable service. I said, I don't even turn the TV on unless Maddox is with me. And that's true. There might be a show or two that I might watch a part of, here and there, but honestly, I don't spend time watching TV. And I think a lot of people, they watch TV, and I think they do it just out of habit more than anything. And, other people, around them watching TV, and it's okay to spend a little bit of time enjoying something like that. But if you have a fitness goal, or you have a achievement goal, or something you want to learn, and you don't prioritize that, but you watch TV, you have to be honest with yourself and be like, this is something I want, but I'm not willing to prioritize it. It's never going to happen. But stop blaming time for the fact that you don't prioritize something like fitness or learning or reading over watching TV. So when you're honest with yourself, and even when you reframe that, I think it helps you go, all right, what am I saying? Like, I do want this, and I do want to prioritize this, and then take a minute to audit your time. I think there's different apps out there where you can audit your time totally, throughout the day. Is it, how much time on your lunch break did it take you 10 minutes to eat? Well, if you have 10 minutes to eat, and 20 minutes of your lunch break is socializing, but you want to lose weight, or you want to get in better shape, or you want to learn something, then maybe take that other 20 minutes instead of socializing and read a book, or work out, or work on whatever that goal is you want. I feel like at the end of the day, people go, well, I didn't have time. When you start asking people, how long does it take to eat your lunch? And if they would just eat, and I know there's parts to socialization that people need, especially right now, but if you want to learn something, or you want to achieve some sort of goal, you can start chipping away at it a little bit here and there. And there's a lot of time you can find in your day if you cut out the shit that doesn't serve you. A lot of times watching the news, that doesn't serve you. I'm not a big fan of watching the news, because a lot of that stuff is going to happen with or without me, right? And if there's big enough news, somebody's going to tell you. Same way with scrolling on Facebook. I get sucked into that sometimes, but if I would take that time that I'm scrolling on Facebook and read something, or do 10 minutes of working out a day would change a lot of people's lives if they really had a fitness goal in mind. Or researching foods you should eat, or reading a book that can get you closer to whatever that goal is that you want. So, the breadth of this is, stop blaming time and start owning the fact that you're not prioritizing something over something else. And I know there's some really, really busy people out there. But a lot of times, people I talk to, they just blame time as a blanket excuse, instead of standing back and saying, hey, I'm not prioritizing this over watching TV, or I'm not prioritizing this over scrolling on Facebook, or I'm not prioritizing this over watching TikTok videos. And I know that stuff's funny, but a lot of times the stuff you're doing isn't serving you, or serving your goals, or serving the achievements you want to have. So take a little bit of time today, and instead of blaming time, think about, what are you prioritizing over that? Like, think about, you give me 20 minutes of your day that you can carve out. I assure you, I will give you enough of a workout in 20 minutes that you'll be like, man, I did something. 10 minutes. A lot of people are like, oh, well, what can I do with 10 minutes? Well, you give me 10 minutes of burpees, you'll be like, oh, that's what I can do with 10 minutes. I assure you that there's something you can do in just 10 minutes. 10 minutes of reading a day of a book on a topic that you want to learn about, that's going to help you grow. That's and just own that own that space, take that time back. I mean, Facebook wants to suck you in. The news wants to suck you in. TV wants to suck you in. You know, that's how they sell stuff to you. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. You know, Facebook's an amazing place. It's an amazing place for me. That's where we're watching this. It helps me get my message out. I like to use it as a tool, not as a way to just pass time, even though I do that. But then at the end of the day, if you're not any closer to your goals, but you scrolled on Facebook for a half hour, you got to think about it. And this is how I think about it when I work out. If I have free time, there's a goal I want to achieve, to get to through working out. There's different lifting goals I have, different movement goals I have, different gymnastics goals I have. Those are more important to me. And if I can take 3 minutes and do something that's going to help me get closer to those goals, I will. And like I said, I'm guilty of this too. I scroll on Facebook. I could get up and move around at the office sometimes when I don't. You get sucked into certain things. And, if you like to listen to things or whatever, I mean, you can listen to a YouTube video while you work out. You can listen to a podcast while you work out. You can, if it's just something you need to get done, but you keep blaming time, there's a lot of things you can do. Like, you can listen to a book and clean your house. You can do those things at the same time. And I know some people get burnt. I do this. I get burnt out listening to different podcasts and different things like that. But I'll switch it up. And sometimes you do listen to music. But you need to be honest with yourself about what you're prioritizing and not just blaming time. Be honest with it. I mean, your son or daughter comes up to you and they want to play. Don't just say, I don't have time. Tell them. I'll be like, Maddox, hey, I have to get this done before I can play with you. Or just be honest about it with whoever it is, and especially yourself. And I think that's going to serve you a lot better and help you understand what you're really doing with your time and where your priorities really lie. You were like, no, I can't do this. I want to prioritize scrolling on Facebook. Well, that sounds pretty bad. I want to get better at whatever it is, but instead of reading a book about it, I'm going to prioritize scrolling on Facebook, watching TV. I mean, it puts things in perspective. I thought about that today. I get this a lot with fitness. A lot of times people say they don't have time to work out, and I'm telling you, if I do 7 minutes of burpees and I go at it, I'll get a hell of a workout. All right? So, and this might lead me into another topic I'm going to talk about tomorrow, more fitness related. Today's a little more goal / just general life related. But I think tomorrow I'm going to talk about, the point of working out and why, exercising to burn calories is not really, I don't want to say it's not a good thing, but that's not what you should be looking for. You should be thinking more about, I'm trying to create a machine that will burn calories all day and be stronger and be better. All right, guys, hope this helped. Hope this put things in a little bit of perspective. I have the same problems you guys do with this stuff. Please share this with your friends if it was helpful. Like the video if it was helpful. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow.